菜根谭
Tending the roots of wisdom.
281烦恼由我是好自心
281. Anxiety arises from within me. Preferences stem from my own heart.
菜根谭原文世人只缘认得我自太真，故多种种嗜好，种种烦恼。前人云不复之有我，安知物为贵？又云知身不是我，烦恼更何亲？真破敌之言也。
白话文注解：只因世人把这个肉身的我看得太重，所以才会产生为满足物欲的种种嗜好、种种烦恼。古人说，假如不再知道有这么一个我，怎么会知道物的贵呢？又说能明白这肉身其实不是真我，那世间还能有什么烦恼能侵害我呢？这真是至理名言。
281-1. It is because people attach too much importance to this physical self that various desires and afflictions arise in order to satisfy those desires. The ancients said, if you no longer know about this self, how can you know the value of material possessions? They also said, if you can understand that this physical body is not the true self, what troubles in the world can still harm you? These are truly words of wisdom. Translated by Bayandefu.
281-2. People who lead self-centered lives have all kinds of cravings and all kinds of vexation. It is said, if I didn't know there is an I, how would I know that things are desirable? It is also said, knowing this body is not my real self, how can lust and the passions bother me? Penetrating words, translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 281-3. The unenlightened man is self-centered, and therefore has many addictions and at the same time many worries. It was said in olden times, if you don't keep reflecting on your own existence, how can you consider the objects outside you as important? Again, if you recognize that your fleshly body is not your real self, how can worries enter your mind? Really words that hit home. Translated by Paul White.
281-4. It is because people attach too much importance to the physical self that various desires and afflictions arise to satisfy materialistic cravings. The ancients said, if one no longer knows there is such a self, how can one know the value of possessions? They also said, understanding that this fleshly body is not the true self, what afflictions in the world can harm me? These are truly words of profound wisdom. Translated by Wen Lin.
282以识意思，志得意念
282. By embracing setbacks, one can control ambitious thoughts.
菜根谭原文自老至少，可以消奔驰角逐之心；自萃是荣，可以绝风华米粒之念。
白话文注解：从老年回过头来看少年时代的往事，就可以消除很多争强斗胜的心理；从没落后再回头去看当年的荣华富贵显耀，就可以消除奢侈豪华的念头。
282-1. Looking back at one's youthful past from old age can help eliminate many competitive and ambitious tendencies. Reflecting on former glories and wealth from a place of decline can dispel thoughts of extravagance and luxury. Translated by Bayandefu.
282-2. When you are young and look at things from the vantage of old age, you can give up the desire for fame and fortune. When you become wealthy and successful and look at things from the vantage of financial ruination, you can end all thoughts of luxury and splendor. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 282-3. When an old man looks back on his youthful days, it is easy for him to banish the desires for fame and gain from his mind. When a frustrated man looks back on his past honors and achievements, it is easy for him to cast aside all dreams of luxury and opulence. Translated by Paul White.
282-4. Looking back on the past events of youth from the perspective of old age can eliminate many competitive and victorious psychological tendencies. Similarly, revisiting the days of prosperity and wealth from a later state of decline can dispel thoughts of extravagance and luxury. Translated by Wen Lin.
283事态变化，万事达观
283. Worldly conditions are ever changing. Observe everything with a broad perspective.
菜根谭原文：人情世态，疏忽万端，不宜认得太真。尧夫云：昔日所云我，而今却是一，不知今日我，又属后来谁？人常作事观，便可解却胸中倦意。
白话文注解：人情冷暖，世态炎凉，错综复杂，瞬息万变，大可不必过于计较。宋儒邵雍说，以前所说的我，如今却变成了他，不知道今天的我，后来又变成什么。一个人假如能经常这样看待事物，就可解除心中的一切烦恼。
283-1. Human emotions are fickle, and the ways of the world are unpredictable, complex, and constantly changing. It's best not to overly concern yourself with them. Translated by Bayandefu.
283-2. The ways of the world are full of unpredictable changes. You must not take them too seriously. Yao Fu said, the so-called I of yesterday is today's that person. And who will become today's I? If we look at things this way often, we can relieve much that troubles the mind. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 283-3. The ways of man and the world change in the twinkling of an eye, so they must not be taken too seriously. In the words of Xiao Yong, what was previously called I has now become he. I wonder who today's I will afterwards become. If a man would often reflect thus, he would be able to dispel cares from his breast. Translated by Paul White.
283-4. The warmth and coldness of human relationships, the changing nature of the world, are intricate and constantly shifting. There's no need to overly dwell on them. As the Song Dynasty Confucian scholar Xiao Yong once said, the me I used to talk about has now become him. I don't know what today's me will turn into later. If a person can consistently view things in this way, it can alleviate all the troubles in their heart. Translated by Wen Lin.
284. 闹中取静，冷处热心。
284. Find tranquility amid chaos. Keep a warm heart in solitude.
菜根谭原文：热闹中着一冷眼，便省许多苦心思；冷落处存一热心，便得许多真趣味。
白话文注解：在喧嚣和迷茫的尘世中，假如能冷静观察事物的变化，就可以减少很多不必要的烦恼。一个人穷困潦倒不得意时，仍能保持乐观向上的精神，就可以获得很多真正的生活乐趣。
284-1. Amidst the noise and confusion of the worldly life, if you can observe the changes of things with a calm mind, you can reduce many unnecessary worries. Even when facing poverty and adversity, maintaining an optimistic and positive spirit allows you to find genuine joy in life. Translated by Bayandefu.
284-2. Keep a sober eye on the hustle and bustle of life and you will be spared a lot of worrying thoughts. Maintain a little enthusiasm in times of suffering and you will gain quite a bit of true delight. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 284-3. If you can view all matters with sober eyes when caught up in the hustle and bustle of worldly strivings, you will be able to eradicate the troublesome thoughts that cause you anguish. If you can preserve the warmth of vitality in your heart when the world seems a cold and desolate place, you will be able to find many sources of true joy. Translated by Paul White.
284-4. In the noisy and bewildering world, if one can calmly observe the changes in things, it can reduce many unnecessary worries. Even when a person is in poverty and adversity, maintaining an optimistic and positive spirit can bring genuine joy to life. Translated by Wen Lin.
285. 安乐寻常，事无绝对。
285. Seek contentment in the ordinary, for nothing is absolute in affairs.
菜根谭原文：有一乐境界，就有一不乐的相对待；有一好光景，就有一不好的相乘除。只有寻常家饭素味风光，才是个安乐的窝巢。
白话文注解： 有一个快乐的境界，就有一个不快乐的事物相对应；有一个美好的光景，就有一个不好的光景来抵消。可见有乐必有苦，有好必有坏，只有平平常常安分守己，才是快乐的根本。
285-1 Where there is a state of happiness, there exists something unhappy in contrast. Where there is a beautiful scene, there is something unfavorable to offset it. This shows that joy comes with sorrow, good comes with bad. True happiness lies in contentment and moderation, staying grounded and living a simple life. Translated by Bayandefu.
285-2 Every peaceful and happy situation has an unhappy counterpart. Every good prospect has a countered attraction. The only peaceful and happy nest is where you eat homey fare and lead a life of simplicity. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 285-3 Wherever there is happiness, there also must be its counterpart in sorrow. Wherever there is a fine scene, there also must be an unpleasant sight. Therefore, by eating homely fare and being contented with your lot, you will find paradise. Translated by Paul White.
285-4 There is a state of happiness, and there is something unhappy corresponding to it. There is a beautiful scene, and there is a not-so-good scene to offset it. It can be seen that where there is joy, there must be sorrow. Where there is good, there must be bad. Only in living a simple and content life lies the fundamental happiness. Translated by Wen Lin.
286. 乾坤自在，物我两忘。
286. The universe unfolds naturally. In it, both the external world and the self are forgotten.
菜根谭原文：连龙高场，看青山绿水，吞吐云烟，识乾坤之自在。竹树扶疏，日日乳燕鸣啾，宋迎时序，知物我之两忘。
白话文注解：窗帘高卷，望见青山绿水，云雾缭绕，由此认识到大自然是多么逍遥自在。窗前花木茂盛，翠竹摇曳生姿，乳燕鸣啾，冬去春来，凌空飞过，体会到物我浑然一体，人我两忘的境界。
286-1 With the window curtains rolled up high, one can see the green mountains, clear waters, and the mist swirling in the clouds. From this, one realizes how carefree and unrestrained nature is. Before the window, lush flowers and flourishing green bamboo sway gracefully. Swallows chirp, doves coo, passing through the sky from winter to spring. And one experiences the realm where the self and nature are integrated, and distinctions between oneself and others are forgotten. Translated by Bayandefu.
286-2 Raise high the window curtain and gaze upon green mountains and clear streams caught up in misty clouds, and you will appreciate the just so-ness of nature. Part the bamboos and listen to swallows and doves greet changes of seasons, and you will forget the difference between you and nature. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 286-3 Open the curtain and gaze upon the green mountains and pure streams enveloped in fleecy clouds, then you will appreciate how untrammeled and self-contained nature is. Contemplating the jade-green bamboos and the lush tress and how the swallows and turtle-doves herald the changes in the seasons, you will feel that you and the world are one. Translated by Paul White.
286-4 With the curtains rolled up high, one can see the green mountains, flowing waters, and mist lingering in the clouds, realizing how free and unrestrained nature is. In front of the window, lush flowers and trees, swaying emerald bamboo, and the calls of swallows and cooing of doves as winter gives way to spring, experiencing the state where the self and nature are intertwined, and the distinction between oneself and others is forgotten. Translated by Wen Lin.
287. 生死成败，一任自然。
287. Life and death, success and failure. Let them be as they naturally unfold.
菜根谭原文：知成之必败，则求成之心不必太坚；知生之必死，则保生之道不必过劳。
白话文注解：有成功就必然有失败，能洞悉此中道理， 凡事就不必一昧求成，有生就必然有死，能明白这种道理，对于长生之道就不必苛求。
287-1 Where there is success, there is inevitably failure. Understanding this principle, one need not blindly pursue success in all matters. Where there is life, there is inevitably death. Grasping this truth, there is no need to overly seek the path to immortality. Translated by Bayan Defu.
287-2 Knowing there must be failure where there is success, see to it that your desire to succeed is not too inflexible. Knowing there will be death where there is life, don't let yourself get too tired out seeking ways to prolong your life. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 287-3 If a person realizes that as long as success exists so does failure, he will not be so desirous of success. If he knows that where there is life there must also be death, he will not waste too much energy seeking to prolong life. Translated by Paul White.
287-4 Where there is success, there is inevitably failure. Understanding this principle, there is no need to blindly seek success in everything. Where there is life, there is inevitably death. Understanding this truth, there is no need to obsessively pursue the path to immortality. Translated by Wen Lin.
288. 流水落花，身心常静。
288. Flowing water, falling petals, body and mind remain tranquil.
菜根谭原文。古德云：竹影扫街，尘不动；月轮穿沼，水无痕。吴如云：水流任急，静常静；花落虽贫，意自闲。人常持此意，以应世接物，身心何等自在。
白话文注解：古代高僧说，竹影在台阶上掠过，尘土并未飞扬，月亮的圆轮在池水中穿梭，水中并不留下痕迹。儒家学者说，水流尽管湍急，环境依然宁静，花落虽然频繁，意境依然闲适。一个人假如能抱这种处事态度来待人接物，不论是身体还是精神，该有多么自由自在。
288-1 Ancient monks said, The bamboo's shadow sweeps over the steps, yet no dust is stirred. The full moon traverses the pond, leaving no trace in the water. Confucian scholars said, Though the water flows swiftly, the surroundings remain tranquil. Though flowers fall frequently, the ambience remains leisurely. If a person can adopt such an attitude towards dealing with others and the world, they can experience immense freedom and ease, both physically and mentally. Translated by Bayan Defu.
288-2 A monk of old said, Bamboo shadows sweep the stairs, but no dust is stirred. Moonlight penetrates to the bottom of the pond, but no trace remains. A Confucian scholar said, No matter how agitated the flow of water, the surroundings are quiet. No matter how profusely flowers fall, the mind remains at ease. Body and mind can enjoy peace if we keep such attitudes about situations as they arise. Translated by Robert Aitken Daniel W. Wyckoff. 288-3 An exalted Buddhist monk of ancient times once said, The flickering shadow of a bamboo on steps cannot remove the dust from them. Moonbeams shining on a pond leave no traces on the water. A Confucian scholar commented, Even with torrents raging and roaring, the quiet surroundings remain undisturbed. Notwithstanding flower petals that fall in showers, an atmosphere of leisure and peace prevails. If you take this attitude towards the world, you will always feel comfortable and relaxed. Translated by Paul White.
288-4 Ancient monks said, The shadow of bamboo brushes across the steps, yet the dust does not rise. The full moon weaves through the pond, leaving no trace in the water. Confucian scholars added, Though the water flows swiftly, the surroundings remain tranquil. Despite frequent petals falling, the ambience stays leisurely. If a person could embrace such an attitude towards life and interactions, how liberating both physically and mentally it would be. Translated by Wen Lin.